When you're called Young and Free, how does free look in lockdown?
It looks like freely involving yourselves in new activities. So
Yeah.
cooking, making videos. I've become a videographer. Tito, who does all our videos, is over there watching me. I don't know. I think you have to find new ways, but it feels like it's going to be the way after lockdown too, you know?
Yeah.
Connecting online, all those things.
Yeah, you got to do your own thing by yourself. And it's got to be sort of strange when you're used to Sundays, services, the times where you get to sing with youth on a weekly basis. That is still go, go, go in kind of an online way. But the Sunday experience is a bit different. How has this time affected your own approach to the idea of church, a Sunday service, and getting to lead on those times?
You definitely miss the power of like the coming together. I think that is the most amazing part about church on a Sunday. But I think I love the intentionality of creating a service, having the week to pre-record. I think there's something about you start to realize what's important, and you can't feed off the reaction of a crowd so much that you actually need what you're doing needs to be genuine enough that it's, engaging and pointing people to Jesus without it being hype, and so that's a skill and something that you need to learn. And for me, that's definitely been something that, I don't know, I've been thinking about a lot. And so, I don't know, I think when we come out of this, a lot of these online versions of church and, we're doing youth in like a TV show kind of format thing on a Friday night that live streams. And they've been some of my favorite youth nights that I've ever been a part of because it's packed into an hour. It's like every moment is engaging because it has to be. People are sitting at home. And I think it's going to be cool coming out of this and seeing how that also translates when we can gather again, which is going to be incredible too.
Yeah. What about you guys?
It's awesome that people, I guess, can send links to each other rather than having to actually be like, will you come to church and make somebody physically come to the building? So I think that's a blessing as well, being able to just send that. But it is true, like worship leading, it's definitely harder. You would love to go with the atmosphere of the room, but you just have to pray that God's blessing and his presence is in every household and doing and at work rather than what you feel like you're doing to an empty room at that moment.
For a lot of young people that are used to having you guys lead in these big, loud, fun environments, even though they're digital natives in so many ways, how do you think they've been affected by the lack of face-to-face time?
I think a genuine connection and community is so important, and I think that's why you look at the governments and how they want to move things back into being able to be together, not just like economically, but because of the risk, like the mental health risk associated with isolation. And I think our young people, we're trying to create those online forums and connections, but I think there's no substitute or replacement for like sitting with your friends. And so, I think we're all praying that people still like aren't feeling the weight of that. But I think, I don't know, I hope that when we come back together, we appreciate, the importance of a community around like Jesus, especially at our youth groups, that people go, oh, okay, now I know why I missed this so much, And
it's obviously a crazy time around the world right now in so many different ways. You've got a lot of young people that look to you guys, are going to be looking to these songs. What would be your message to the youth of the world right now, if you could say anything?
It would just be to seek God and love him with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. There's a lot of things that don't make sense right now in the world and that you're allowed to question, but I pray that they actually just choose to follow Jesus and desire what he wants for them in their future and their life, and set a pathway that will be pleasing to him. That's what I would tell them to do.
I think the only thing that we have right now is our ability to trust God. There's so many unknowns. And so for young people that are watching, I would say, trust God and believe that he has a plan for you. And this season as well is, like we said at the beginning, I think such a unique season. And we may never see something like this again. This is, a pandemic, but it is such an opportunity to actually, for me, I've seen like the ability to like stop, reset. Okay, actually, what's a priority here? Okay, these things I have been spending too much time doing. I'm going to get rid of that. And we have the time to experiment, to cut your hair strange, to color your nails, to just do things that we wouldn't normally do and actually find, okay, this is actually where I feel God's calling me. And so be listening to the voice of God, but then also just be open to doing whatever. I think that's a practical piece of advice that I would say to young people is this is a crazy awesome time, but it's such an opportune time to do something significant.